Hello, my name's Sue Lewis, and this is a recording of a webinar we did specifically for careers advisors, showing them how they can make best use of Careerpilot. So we're going to be using Careerpilot, and the address is careerpilot.org.uk. So what we'll cover as part of this webinar is how you can use guidance as part of a whole school approach, how you can use Careerpilot before guidance, during and after, how you can access data and reports that will actually support your guidance process, and how you can record your guidance report straight onto the site. And in summary, I'll just touch on the new Pathway Planner, which is a triage model and tool that helps to allocate guidance to young people at 3 different levels. So in terms of providing good quality guidance, the Careers and Enterprise Company have a research report that identifies the 5 criteria that create effective guidance. So this is called personal guidance, what works. And that is that the careers guidance session, or personal guidance, whatever you call it, is integrated into what else is happening in the school environment. It's done in a nice space at an appropriate time for the student. There's an element of preparation for guidance and also feedback after guidance or follow-up. And that the interview is effective and it's professional because it's delivered by a level 6 qualified advisor. So just to explain Careerpilot in overview before we start looking specifically at how it supports guidance, Careerpilot has 4 zones. Everything happens from the student zone, but when the students are putting in the things they're interested in, this creates data in the reporting zone. It's also an advisor zone with lots of lesson plans and materials, and a parent zone. And then schools can choose to pay to add on something called the Pathway Planner to their main 4 zones of Careerpilot. And this is the Triage Tool and model. So Careerpilot is all about having a whole school approach to careers and having the student at the centre. So you have activities for students to do every year that help them connect with the things they should be thinking about that time related to careers, but are hopefully helping them to become managers of their own careers. So if you're the careers leader, Careerpilot can be a great solution for all the people who are actually engaged in careers in your school or college. To support careers, we've got something called our 3-stage careers process that we try to teach students so they can apply it throughout life. As I said, there's activities for every year group. We've also got a lot more resources too, like 5-week PSHE plans and programs and lots more. So everybody can have one particular resource that they'll be using. So if a tutor gets asked a question about T-levels, then they can refer the student to Careerpilot or show them the particular information. PSHE staff might be delivering some aspects of careers. We've got the parent zone, but they also love the main site, so definitely tell them about that. We've got activities for subject teachers, so they can more closely align their subject to careers. And of course, everything is leading towards personal guidance. So if the school or college in which you work is doing this from year 7, hopefully by the time they see you, and maybe year 10 or 11, they're already quite well established in thinking about their careers and thinking about what's important to them. If a school is doing the Pathway Planner, that would come in year 11 and year 12 when they choose their next stage options. So what a school can do if they haven't got much time, they can't allocate a whole lesson to Careerpilot, then they could direct students to do activities that relate to their age. So on the student side, and start here by year group, they could actually do activities for year 9, and they'd be tied into option choices, and there'd be 5 or 6 activities we would suggest. But the best thing is when a school can put aside 1 hour a year in an IT room where students could be using Careerpilot, and then we have a presentation that we've designed that could be delivered to those students that include those activities for every year. Pathway Planner has got its own particular lesson plans. So the way the lessons work are about 50 to 60 minutes. They obviously require a computer because they've been using Careerpilot. This year we've mapped them to the new CDI framework for careers, and they're also all available as video lessons. So if you've got somebody who doesn't deliver in the lesson, doesn't know much about Careerpilot, they can literally just switch on the video, and then one of my team who's delivering that will be coaching the students and the teachers to have a good quality careers lesson. As a school, you can go further. We've got lots of resources. For example, our 5-week PSHE programme for every year group. That presentation I mentioned is lesson 1, but there are 4 other lessons with all the resources. You could, if you're doing a 5-week careers focused module, you could actually do other things like get your tutors engaged. So we've got 20-minute activities that can be done in tutor time that are careers related, don't require a computer, sort of fun activities really, like careers bingo. Then if you want to get your subject teachers trying to reflect careers as part of what they're doing, then for Key Stage 4 we've got 23 subject sheets like this, and the same for Key Stage 5. And they actually link with a particular aspect of the curriculum the teacher's already delivering and gives them some ideas for how they can enhance that further to connect it to careers or labour market. And then we've got lots of other things, posters you could put around school. This is our NHS pack. And this also includes some activities you could focus in on some of these particular jobs. Great for Key Stage 3 and 4 to learn more about particular jobs. We've also got a set for green jobs that we launched to coincide with COP26. Okay, so we've got lots of resources to support careers. So Careerpilot is the website. Really, we've got lots of things to wrap around that so you can have a good quality careers experience for your young people. So this is the homepage. This is free access, so anybody can use this bit. But you, if you're a subscriber or in our free access area in the southwest and some parts of the southeast, then you can get your students to register, which they do straight onto the site, and that is the best use of Careerpilot. They should always be signed in when they're using it, because they then get access to all the career tools. So this is where they can make decisions about the things they're interested in. So if they like a job, they can add that. So that creates a report for them, which you can share with parents or other staff members, but also creates data and reports in our reporting zone, which I'll show you later. So as I said before, everything happens from careerpilot.org.uk. Staff and students sign in at the same place in the top right. In top left, you can get access to the advisor zone and the parent zone. Then these are our popular tools, job profiles, search for course or apprenticeship vacancies, etc. The 3-stage process I mentioned, which is a common career decision-making process. Start with you, explore your options, plan next steps. A lot of our resources are structured under these 3 stages. But if a student is working with you for guidance, they're particularly interested in a pathway, there's lots of information and support about that particular pathway, A-levels, for example. So here's an example of the A-level page. On the left-hand side are all the sort of subtopics, thinking about an EPQ being one. But on the page, there'll always be video stories about this topic, so they can listen to those if they don't want to read a lot. But there'll always be a summary of what they can learn if they're going down the page. And in the top right of every page in Careerpilot is the option to add. So in this case, they can add this page to their bookmarks. So in the Career Tools, they have the option to build their own package of things they're particularly interested in. So for the students to register, they do that straight into the site, as I said, top of the site on the right hand side, and they'll fill in registration form, and on the form they'll be attaching themselves to your school. So as soon as they start writing your school, it'll come up on the drop down if you're a subscribing school. They put themselves in a year group. The next screen will ask them to give permission for you to be able to look at their information. So from then on in, they just sign in. They don't re-register and create another account. So that's why it's important for them to remember the email they're registered with and the password. One other thing that's important for students to be taught is this idea of tagging the things you're interested in. Otherwise, they might use the site and not actually tag. And that's where you're going to get your juicy information from. So it's really important. So the top right, as I said, of most pages, they can add. This is a job, animal care worker, and then that'll be added into the students' job sectors and in their main report. Now, if a few weeks later they've changed their mind, they can get rid of it. What we're trying to teach the student is that things will move and flex as they learn more about themselves and their options. So the 3 stages of Careerpilot: start with you, explore your options, plan your next steps. And these stages are important in terms of decision making. We've got particular activities as part of each of these 3 stages. One other thing we have is a little video, an animated video. It's 3 minutes to show it, and it's trying to explain why careers is so important and why they need to become managers of their own careers and what they could do right now, like knowing yourself, what your interests, values, motivations, doing stuff to build your CV and your skills, knowing all your options and using all your available supporters. So it's a nice little video introduction. We particularly use that with year 10 and above, when they're having to really start thinking now about the decisions they're making. That is available through the top of our homepage. It just says watch our video. Okay, so if the students have been using the 3 stages of Careerpilot and they've been tagging the things they're interested in, then their Career Tools is building a report for them. Now, when that is there, it's brilliant if you're a guidance advisor to go in and have a look at that before you meet them, because you start to learn a lot about them even before you've actually got going with a student as part of your guidance. So it can be quite detailed. If they've done those Career Tools, then it will have information about their qualifications, job sectors, what jobs and subjects they're interested in, the values they hold dear, what providers they've already started thinking about, and lots more, including what skills have been identified through the skills map. So that report is a great source of information, as I said, before you even do the guidance with the students. And that report's going to move up every year. One other thing, when you've done your guidance, you can write your report straight onto the site. So there'll be a record of any careers conversations or guidance interviews that are on that have been had with the student, and they'll be attributed to the person who wrote them. You can also put action points you agree with the student. So it's about everything in one place, and then the student's been able to download or look at this, and you've been able to do that as well. So you can get other staff involved, because there's a great summary of what the students are thinking about. So in terms of a classic career advice process, we start usually with an introduction and expectation. So if you've actually seen the reports, there's something there you can refer to that you've seen what they've been interested in the past. Obviously, you're going to check those things out because things might have changed. So stage 2 is about exploring, and then we've got quizzes, the skills map, the qualification planner where they can add grades, start with the subject. We're now going to start with the values as well. So all things that, if you're doing those things with them, you'll learn a lot about them, but they might have done them previously and you could just look at the reports. Stage 3, you've got lots about options and how they explore those by age. Well, my choice is 16. There's loads of job profiles that include labour market information. They can search for courses, apprenticeship vacancies, or just explore them to see what might be out there. And then the final stage of a careers guidance process is usually actions, and this is where you can record your report straight onto the site, but also set up action points with the students. I'm just going to show you a few of those things. So in terms of exploring, there's a job sector quiz. So there's 50 pictures of things you might like to do in work, and the students can click as many of those as they're interested in. And then that will tell them sectors that seem to link with what they're interested in. And then they can start to explore the sectors. And there'll be loads of jobs they've never even thought of before. So it can be quite inspirational to do that. And then they could actually pick one they want to look at with you, maybe as part of guidance, and explore that job. Or maybe they come in, they've got a job in mind, and then you can look at the profile just to check the entry requirements and that they understand all things they need to consider if they want to get into that job. Then there's the skills map. So what we do here, instead of asking students what skills you got, which is you find quite hard to answer, we ask them what they've done in their life, their learning, and in the post-16 version, it'll also ask about work. And they can tick any of the things they've done already. So in this example, I've kept going with a hobby or sport out of school, which lots of students can say. And then for everything they tick, we'll be showing them what skills they've already started to use through that particular activity. And everything gets put into their skills profile. So here the student has 5 examples of teamwork from doing the quiz. There's 5 activities that show they've developed some of their teamwork skills. And the whole idea is they keep going back into this and adding their own examples. So it might be through your guidance interview. They tell you something and you'll ask them whether they've put it into their skills profile. So they can add in all sorts of things that they might be in a particular team sport, or they might have done something like babysitting, and then ask them what skills that particular activity gave them. They can say whether it's a school activity or not, and then it'll be added in here. So they're building up a lot of examples that can be useful when they come to apply later. Another nice thing they could do is compare their skills to the skills required for a job. So on the pink bit shows you what skills this job requires, and they can see their own skills. They can add examples from here as well. When they come to apply for work experience or personal statements, they can use their skills to apply. They'll say what you're applying for, Which skills do you most need to flag up? For in this example, a nurse, but it could be different if you're a plumber. And then you get to see all your previous examples of activities you've done, so things you can talk about when you're putting your application together. And if you've done any encounters, if you get the students to go back in and record an encounter, let's say, what skills have you developed through that activity? And again, that's there for them to refer to when they apply. This is another nice starting point we find at the exploration stage, where you can find out what subject a student really loves. So in this instance, computing, and then it'll give ideas about jobs, courses, apprenticeships that might be possible for them to go on to. It's just to give them a feel of what's there, really. And again, with everything in Careerpilot, they can add to their career tools. In this case, be a subject I love. A new tool that we developed for this year, September 2021, is a values entry. So this is where students can indicate something they're really interested in or they're really passionate about and see where that might lead. So it might be, I want to prevent climate change, or I want to be creative in my working life. Then again, they'll get ideas of jobs, and they'll get some more information, and they might get some suggested courses as well. They can also put in, I find this useful when I'm doing guidance, to get them to put in their qualifications. I would only do this with year 10 and 11 and above when they begin on GCSEs. But they can say whether they think they're going to get level 2 or level 1 from their GCSEs. As soon as they've tagged things in the qualification ladder, they can also then add their subjects and their grades. So year 10, 11 be predicted, and then when they go back in year 12, they'll be able to change that to actual. So stage 3 of the guidance process is exploring options, and they could do that in a range of ways, by age or through looking at jobs or courses, apprenticeship vacancies, etc. Just show you some of these. So the jobs part of our site is the most popular bit, really. So you can search for an actual job. They come into you and they've already got an idea. But they can also, as you can see, start with the subject is here again, start with your values, the job quiz, Careerometer, where they can compare up to 3 jobs and see the different salaries and working hours. There's also a section about how you find a job or experience, with ideas for virtual work experience. And Job Growth Near Me has some infographics that just kind of show where the main employers are in a particular geographical area and what jobs are growing. So you can drill down to sectors, and then you can drill down to a particular job type like animal, and there'll be lots of things here they won't know about, so they can start exploring and learning more. But there might be a particular job they love the look of, animal care worker again, and here they'll get labour market information, salaries, you're going to grow, but lots of information about entry requirements, pathways you can choose into this job, and things to consider. There's also additional labour market information, how many people are currently employed in this job by region, and live vacancies. So that's people currently working is displayed in a graph form, so it's quite visual, and they could see that in their area, the southwest is quite a good job opportunity, less so in the northeast. And they can also see live vacancies, and we know if they're in year 9 they're not looking for a job, but the more they can learn about what jobs look like and what is required, the better prepared they'll be for the time they have to choose those things. They can also search for courses. I'm just going to look at the degree course entry, so put the name of a degree, a little drop down of degree headings if they're not sure, postcode, how far you would travel, you get your short list. Click on any of those and tell you data about that course. There's a direct link to the course page at that university. And again, there's the plus sign. They can add it into Careerpilot career tools as well. They can find a provider near to where they live, and if they've logged in, there'll be a little yellow character there, which should be them, so they can begin to sort of visually see what's near to them. They can search for different providers, and then they can click on them and find out more about what they offer. So as in this example, Royal Agricultural University, if you click on the orange icon, orange circle, that's full-time courses. And it's the same for all the connections to universities. So instead of exploring a massive university site, this will give them headlines of the things they most might want to look at. And then stage 4 is where you kind of set up your report and actions. So here is any previous, here the student can get access to any previous reports, and they can see their skills map. There's also a little ongoing action planner they can be using as well. And we always try to get the students to do at least 1 or 2 actions, don't we, at the end of guidance, so they are beginning to manage their own careers. So just to explain how it works on Careerpilot, we talked about the 4 zones. You need a password in order to access the reporting zone. But once you've got a password for the reporting zone, it will also give you access to the Careerpilot student site and the members area of our advisor zone. So when you've got your login, this is what you're going to see. This is our reporting zone. But you could also have a go at all those career tools yourself. It won't affect any live data. It won't be saved against the school, but you can have a go at doing them. So you click on student site, or if you want to look at all our resources, you could click on the advisor zone members area, and then you'll be into, in the case of the student side, you'll go straight to the student site. And when you want to get back, under your name on the right hand side will be the word admin. Click on the little arrow, and then you'll be back. So with this one admin login, you can go between different parts of the site quite easily, and you could do those student career activities, or you can get access to all our resources in the advisor zone. Some are protected by this password. Okay, so if you're doing this live webinar at this point, we would actually get you to sign in and have a look around the reporting zone and try some of the student activities. But because this is recording, we're obviously not going to do that at this point. But let me just explain a little bit more about the reporting zone. So once you have got access to your reporting zone, you'll be able to, in the orange section, see all the people who are in the system. So students, if they've registered and attributed themselves to your school or college, they will show here. They will also be asked at registration to put a year group. So if you go to groups, you'll be able to see them in year group order, like how many students are registered in year 11 and who they are. You can also set up staff. There'll be administrators. So if you've got high school admin access to the reporting zone, you can actually set up other staff and give them access to the groups they should see. So the turquoise bit is all about reports. So there's reports by group and then by individuals. So I'm just going to show you some of these as we go through. Okay, so this is a report by group, which I'm just going to click on here. You can also get access to it on the darker blue panel on the left-hand side. So I can see all my groups. I've got them in year groups at the moment. I've got 22 in year 8, for example. And on the right-hand side, actions row is on the right. You can actually see what you could do. So I can see who's in that group. I can see what job sectors that your group might be interested in and other things besides. I can also see the last advisor comment written against every student in that group. And I can now see all the latest action points written with the student from that particular group. Now you can also subdivide this list into tutor groups, for example, or pupil premium groups as you go through. So I'm just going to show you a few of these things, like the job sector choices. Remember, this is a group report. For example, what job sectors are year 11 interested in? And then I can see. And because when they make that choice, when they tag in the things they like, we said, are you just exploring or are you definite? It actually gives you more information, really. You can think, right, okay, if I'm putting on an encounter, maybe these are the students I need to target for this particular sector. You can also set tasks for students on Careerpilot, or those tasks I mentioned right at the beginning. What 6 things would year 8 do, for example? And in the tasks completed report, you can see what activities they've actually done. You can download all these reports and filter them and play with them in Excel. As I mentioned, you can look at the advisor comments, the last advisor comments written for each of the students in a particular group, and you can also look at the last action point written, and then you could share this with tutors, for example. So if you're a careers guidance advisor, you've written all these reports on the students for a particular tutor group, you could print that out and share it with the tutor so they can be supporting the students with the things they've been asked to do through careers. just to show you how you can then also drill down to the individual student. So you find your student, you can filter it by name or by group. When you've got your student, you've got some options, and the ones I use mainly, I might look at any previous annual reports, because at the end of an academic year on August the 31st, we always save a snapshot. So I might want to look back and see what they were thinking of in year 10. I'm now talking to them in year 11. When I've written my report, I can download the full report to send to the student, but also to the parents with their permission. But the thing I use mostly here is the full report, because as an advisor, I want to see everything that's there. And that will be that big report I showed you at the beginning. So I'm just going to show you how you can add your report to the advisor, to the individual report. So you can write your report. It's called a new comment, and you could just write whatever you would normally write. One other thing is that you can actually put links to the contents of Careerpilot. So if, for example, you wanted a student to explore more about apprenticeships, you can just put that in as a link, and it would link back into the apprenticeship section. So it can make your reports much more sort of interactive and useful, potentially. That's what we find anyway. And you can also put actions in you agree with the students. They can write their actions, but you can do with them. So let me just show you how that works. So if, for example, I've written, you're interested in finding out about different degrees, I can say internal link. I highlight where I want that link to be, just like doing a hyperlink. And then I see the contents of Careerpilot, and I can click on the bit about apprenticeships in this case, and then there'll be a direct link into the apprenticeship section. I can also do external links. So, for example, I wanted to we talked about a student going to an open day, then you could get the link to that particular booking and actually add that in. That's called an external link. Now, if we were doing this as a live session, I'd get you to have a play with that and have a little go of writing a report and linking to some internal content. But this is a recording of the webinar. So that's Careerpilot in overview, the student site, the reporting zone. Just to mention, we also have the advisor zone, which has got lesson plans and materials that support delivery of Careerpilot or support mapping to Gatsby, for example. So on the advisor zone, the first tile is about the pathway planner. The second tile is called the Career Leader Portal, some maps in there to how Careerpilot can help you meet Gatsby. The second line down, there's all the resources for different key stages. Got quick careers, which are sort of 20-minute activities that could be done in 2 to time. If you want to get started with a Careerpilot and you want to tell the parents about it, there's little email templates you could send out to parents about the site. There's lots of free training, resources for subject teachers. There's lots of things in here. Now, the benefits of you having that admin login is you get to see everything in the advisor zone, because some things are password protected. So when you get to the advisor zone, members will only see particular things, and that's because they've got a password. So we've got, as I said, lesson plans for every year group. We've got our particular hot jobs and loads of other packs of them besides. We've got guides for careers advisors on certain jobs that have changed quite a lot recently. Law, dentistry, and veterinary we have at the moment. And there's loads of other things in the advisor zone which I haven't got time to go through now. But once you've got your admin login, you'll be able to explore all of those. So I just want to quickly mention the Pathway Planner, which is available as an add-on. So if your school would find this useful, it's certainly useful, we find, for careers advisors. They would pay £250 per annum, slightly more for colleges, slightly less for special schools. So we developed this through a bid to the Careers and Enterprise Company as a way to meet Gatsby 8. I'll just show you quickly. So this is the model that we've piloted and is now being used by over 100 schools and colleges. So looking at the criteria of effective guidance I showed you at the beginning, what we wanted was a whole school approach to careers guidance and careers. So Our model starts with the students, year 11 for example, having a structured session which is going to take them through the options that are available to them. Now, school will have done all sorts of things to prepare them for options. It's not just this one lesson, but in this one lesson, everybody in that room will know the different options they can choose at the next stage. And we've got structured presentations for year 11 and 12. As part of that session, which is about 60 minutes, for the last 10 minutes, we're going to then ask them to complete the pathway planner. So we're going to ask them what pathways they're interested in, having had some time on the side to explore the ones they're interested in, and us explaining them in overview. For each one they say they're interested in, we ask them a quiz to see how ready they are for that progression. And they get a red, amber, green score. And as a careers leader or guidance advisor, you can use all that data to start to allocate guidance according to the needs of students. You can then use Careerpilot as part of your guidance. You can write your report straight onto the site. And in our model, about 4 weeks after guidance, somebody spends 5 minutes doing a follow-up with each student. So it would be a tutor ahead of 6. And they ask 3 questions to find out whether they're okay or whether they need additional support. And wrapped around our model was at least one lunchtime a week of drop-in guidance. And the drop-in is brilliant because what it does is mops up anybody who needs an additional short level of careers guidance support. So if the tutor's worried about them, they've got somewhere to refer them to. If they're worried themselves, they can request a drop-in. There's also an option through the site to offer e-guidance as well. So the first session is set up for them through the system, but then the drop-in is a great kind of wrap-up for anybody needing additional support. I'll just show you quickly how that works. So if you have the pathway planner as a school, you can set it up for the students who are going to access it, and it will appear here on the Career Tools. Then as part of that structured session I mentioned about options, and they have an explore on Careerpilot, the last 10 minutes we're going to say, do this pathway planner. So this is the post-16 version, so showing the post-18 pathways, and they can now say whether they're definitely considering not doing. And if they say not doing to all of them, it'll red flag them. Then for each one they're definitely considering, it will ask them a short quiz. So what we want to know, this student says they're definite about vocational qualifications, but how much do they know and how much have they done? And by answering these questions, it'll give us an idea. I know what vocational course I want to do next. Well, if they say no, then obviously there's a bit of a red flag. Some of these things are quite neutral, but some are more worrying and would mean that you could support them with that and through guidance. So the students are going to get a red, amber, green score. In this example, the student says they're green for employment. So obviously you know quite a bit about it and it's something they're considering. But then they're definite for vocational qualifications and they're amber. So there's some things they need help with. They're considering apprenticeships and they're red for that. So there's obviously even more things they need to know or do. Now we always went with a definite pathway and that seemed to work quite well. So top trumps, you start with definite. So this student is going to get amber guidance. But obviously in the guidance, you're going to check out what they're saying about employment and apprenticeships. So everybody's going to get guidance, but it'll be at different levels. We don't make a big fuss about the levels. We're just saying they're getting the guidance they need to support them. They get a timeline, and in this example, they did, on the 28th of November, this student did the pathway planner, and they ended up 2 reds and an amber. Somebody looked at that data and set up a long careers guidance session on the 24th of February. Then at the end of the guidance, you get them to go and edit their responses on the pathway planner. And what you're hoping is they learnt more and they're more prepared for their next stages. So on the 25th of February, the student was at green and amber, and they had 2 pathways rather than 3. So you can see the journey for the student, but also see it compared to your interventions. So it's quite easy for students to do. And as I showed you, they get their green, amber, red. And in the back end, in the reporting zone, if you've got the pathway planner, you now have this pink area called pathway planner results and bookings. And for any group you've set up, you'll get a dashboard that kind of shows what pathways the students are interested in, but also how ready they are based on the questions they answered. And then you can use this data and anything else like grades or whatever to actually start to allocate guidance at 3 different levels. We've got a whole tile about the pathway planner. I haven't got time to discuss it right now, but just to say there's various actions then you can perform against the student. You can book guidance, you can view their answers. Some schools now use that to allocate group work. It helps you see how your programme meets the needs of students too. Because if a lot of students are read for one thing, then what you could do is put in a session for everybody, and hopefully they wouldn't be read next time. So it can be useful for preparing your careers programme. At the end of guidance, you can do a one-liner about where students are as they leave guidance, and that can be made available to other people in schools, so everybody's pushing in the same direction. The tutor follow-up can be put here quite simply, and those advisor comments, your report, again, you can do that straight from here, or look at any previous comments written against that student. That was a quick run through the Pathway Planner, but we do have a whole range of webinars about the Pathway Planner. Just go to the Advisor Zone and the tile for training, and you'll see all our webinars that are free and available. If you have any questions about Careerpilot or any things I've talked about today, probably the best thing to do is contact our helpline. Jo Davis on the helpline is there from 9 till 3 every day in term time. So if you want to make a note of that telephone number or the email address as often the first point of contact. So thanks for listening to this webinar. Good luck with everything to do with Careerpilot, and do get in touch if you've got any questions you want to ask.